Hey everybody, welcome to Prime Joe Time on Spare Bedroom Studios. Today with me I have Wes Kemp, a friend I met at the jail when I was working there. We used to train together, and Wes's story is he was training for an amateur fight. He was training with the Shave Bears at a little sweatshop. This is one of Canada's top MMA teams when, unfortunately, at some point, he contracted a necrotizing fasciitis. It's commonly known as flesh-eating disease. So this infection, it kills the body's tissue, releases toxins into your system, and I'm really happy you're here, Wes, and thank you for sharing.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I don't know if you want to start off and just tell us about your journey. So you were training for a fight.
Yeah, I was training for a fight. I was about a week out, and it was a Thursday night, so we were going into a really last hard practice. And everything went great. I was feeling good. I was in phenomenal shape. I was quite a bit older, so I'm 47 now, and when this happened, I was 44. So a little old to be fighting, but still. So we had all that planned out, and I was on the night shift at work, and I went into work, and things were going great. And then at around 5 o'clock, I've got to do court files. So I went down to sentencing area. I grabbed the files. And you know how down there they have the kiosk desks are a bit higher?
Yep.
And then they have the higher chairs. So I put the files up on top of the desk there. And I went back and grabbed one more file. And stupidly, you see a high chair. I kind of ran up and jumped on it. And my body kind of swung underneath the desk. Well, there was a cabinet there, a filing cabinet, and I banged my shin on the filing cabinet. It was like that Peter Griffin episode. You're like, And so I rubbed that, was rubbing my shin. Didn't think anything of it. Finished my work. Went back to the office. Finished my shift. It was 7 o'clock, and went home and went to bed. So I get home, I'm like, I'm not feeling the best. Oh, nights aren't, I'm not really fond of nights. So I was like, maybe it's just that. So I went to bed, and my wife now, she was also working at the same place. She was having a going away party because she had just got a new job up in Calgary. And our plan was to move to Calgary, and I was going to get a transfer to Calgary. And she was having a going away party, so I was going to sleep, wake up around 3:34, and then go to the party, hang out, see everyone, kind of do the the goodbye thing. And I didn't end up making it there. So at around 2:30, she ended up calling me, and I was like, I feel terrible, and I thought I was coming down with the flu. Didn't really understand what was going on. And she's like, okay, just go back to bed, then I'll call you in a bit. I was like, yeah, all right. Excuse me. And so I go back to bed. I ended up waking up at some point, I think around 6 or 7. Now, I have to preface all this that, this is my version of the story, which is important because it's only what I remember.
Yep.
A lot of the stuff, and my wife will quickly tell you that never happened. This is actually how it went. But I'm just telling you from what I remember, my kind of experience.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I got up at some point, and I remember walking to the kitchen, and I'm like, my leg was killing me, and I was like, I think maybe I tweaked something in practice. I wasn't sure, but I was having a hard time sleeping. So I ended up taking a handful of Tylenol. Ended up taking a weed gummy, and I was like, this will knock me out.
Did that make it worse? Because I used to smoke marijuana. I had a staph infection on my hand. I smoked, and I was told it makes your heart pump faster. So it actually spread the infection through my body faster.
Yeah, probably that. If that's real thing, that probably didn't help. But yeah. I didn't know. I just thought I was sore. I thought I was sick. I thought I was coming down with something. So I just wanted to kind of sleep because I had this fight in a week. And anyways, so around 7:30, she calls me. And I said, I'm just not good. Okay, she sounds a little bit worried, it's weird that I'd be missing this. So at 9:30, she calls me back again. I'm still sleeping. So now I've been in bed for over 12 hours. And she's like, you have to work tonight. You need to call work, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you know.
Well, one thing people don't realize, when you're training for a fight, you were probably cutting weight. Your immunity is taking a huge dump because like you're training really hard and you're on night shift. This is like a mixture for.
Yeah, well, it wasn't, those are definitely not the best circumstances, I don't think. But so anyways, I ended up saying, okay, I'll call work. And it wasn't the best phone call I've ever had in my life. And I don't really want to dwell on the phone call that much, but essentially I was an acting manager at the time, and I called in to a DDO there, and I was like, hey, I don't feel well, like something's wrong. I can't come in. And he gave me quite a bit of grief, a lot of grief. What are you going to do? What are we going to do? You want to be a manager, this, that, and the next thing. And not that I want to put too much blame on him, because I know he feels bad for that, considering what happened. But, I kind of understand it in a point too. Like, you're trying to move up, and there's not a lot of people that can just, walk in and take over for a night shift. But anyways, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I like, something's wrong. I just can't come in. Oh, whatever. He hangs up the phone. And I fell asleep. And I didn't wake up till the next day at around, and I believe it was around noon.
Holy crap.
So now I've been in bed for close to 30 hours, if just a little bit more.
So you're just exhausted, like you couldn't get up.
Oh, I was sweating. So Becca had gone out and gotten drunk, for going away party. And she was going to go back to her friend's place, which lived just outside of Edmonton. But something in her, thank God, she was like, oh, I better go home. Wes is sick. So she came home. She crawled in bed with me. In the morning, she thought that I, pissed the bed.
Some sweat.
So much sweat. It was, I was drenched in it.
So your body's trying to fight whatever's going on.
Oh, yeah. And she's trying to wake me up, and she's like, hey, you okay? And I was, kind of out of it. At this point, my body was going into sepsis. So the infection had got into the bloodstream. And so I was pretty wonky, pretty out of it. And she ripped the covers back because she thought I peed the bed. And when she did that, she saw my leg. And down on my right leg, right down, 3/4 down, there was a little nick where I hit on the filing cabinet. But my leg was red and hot, really hot, swollen. So Becca knew there was something wrong. She's like, you got to get up. I'm like, oh, just let me sleep. She's like, you have to get up. I need to take you to the hospital. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
So she got me up, and, I weigh about 200, and I was about 210 pounds because I was starting to cut down to 205. Mm-hmm. So, not a small guy by any means. And, anyway, she got me up. She took off my underwear, gave me new underwear. But she stood me up. And when she stood me up, I've never felt pain like that in my life. I screamed like an actual I really screamed. I kind of threw myself back down on the bed. And I was like, no. She's like, oh my God, you need to get up. Now she's hungover. And she's like, how am I going to get you to the hospital? Oh my God. Anyways, she got me dressed, just put shorts on and a t-shirt. And her car was wherever they were partying. So I only had my little car. And she picked me up, I had my arm around her shoulders, but she literally picked me up and walked me to the front door, and I was screaming the whole time. The pain was insane. Anyway, she pulled my car around. We go in, and I had a little car. So I'm trying to get into the car, and I'm having a hard time because my leg hurts. And she just two-hands me into the car. And, I go barreling in, and she just shoved my leg in there. I scream. We get going. And as we're driving, I was like, I think I'm just dehydrated. I think I overtrained and I think I'm like having severe dehydration.
Typical man. You're like, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I said, hey, stop at 7-Eleven and get me a Gatorade. And she's like, okay. So she swings in, gets me a Gatorade. I drank like that much. And she's like, we're going to the hospital. I said, yeah, just take me to 50th Street, the urgent care. And she's like, no, I'm not taking you. I'm taking you to the sturgeon. I was like, okay, that's the one in St. Albert.
Mm-hmm.
And so she drove me there. And, when we were driving there, I had such a like a odd feeling. Like you kind of knew something was really wrong.
Yeah.
And I knew my body didn't feel good at all. Like even my brain, nothing felt right. We get there and she runs out and grabs a wheelchair, brings it over and puts me in the wheelchair. And I think, like, looking back now, I think one of the coolest things, your body's pretty amazing, very resilient, but it also knows. As soon as she put me in that wheelchair and I'm like, okay, I'm at the hospital now, I just start, like, sweating. Like, it's coming off my nose, it's coming off my ears. I just couldn't stop sweating. So she parks the car, comes in, wheels me in, and, you're always waiting in that lineup, to get seen, and you can see the nurses like looking over like, what's going on? Like eventually one nurse came, like kind of walked past a couple people, and I was like, what's going on here? And she's like, I don't know, he's got a thing on his leg, it's really red, like he's sweating, he's not good. And they just rushed me, like, so I skipped the line. God. Yeah.
You're not there for like 15 hours. Like I was there for 12 hours with an MRSA infection on my finger. And just
the wait lines right now are insane at the hospital.
Yeah.
But I was very lucky, thankfully, that I went and they skipped my line. And, there's an age difference between my wife and I. And the guy goes, yeah, can you just register your dad here, take me in? And she started laughing, and I was in cloud nine. I had no idea what was going on, but when she came after she registered me, she came in, she told me, and we were kind of chuckling or whatever. So this is where things get pretty dicey for me.
Yeah.
So now the sepsis is pretty good. I'm really kind of starting to lose it. They start pumping me full of drugs, and they're pulling blood and doing tests. And geez, I remember laying there, and you could hear this ER doctor. She's like screaming. It was like a movie. Like she's like, "Where is that OR doctor?" Like the operating room doctor.
Yeah.
He needs to be your stat. Like she's screaming. She's like, "If it's not about bed 11, do not come to me." She shut down the ER, and I start laughing. And I'm like, can you hear this doctor like screaming? I'm like, oh, yeah, he's crazy. She's like, you're bed 11. And I was like, oh. And I still didn't really comprehend much. But thank God this doctor, and I don't know who it is. I wish I did, but I don't. She had seen necrotizing fasciitis before. So she was running tests for like staph and MSRA.
Yeah. And
basically waiting for the results to come back. And once she got the results back, she knew, like, okay, if it tested positive for staph or MSRA, then we do this route. But if it comes back this other way, she knows exactly what it is.
Yep.
And, like, we need to go. Like, we need to hurry.
Well, this condition is much more serious, and those ones are serious conditions too. But
yeah.
What I was reading from researching, this is the most serious of all these infections.
Yeah, you have about a 30 to... like 40-hour window to get treated.
But you had already been pretty deep into it because you slept
deep,
for like...
Yeah, I'm pretty deep now. Most people that get this lose their limb, whatever it is, or they die. So you're either dying or you're getting amputated. So anyways, I'm laying there, and all of a sudden, again, it felt like a dream. This really handsome man is at my bed. And he was like, oh, hello, Mr. Kemp. I'm Dr. Fury. Look, you're really sick. And I'm going to cut your leg off. I was like, no, you're not. You're not cutting my leg off.
Oh, you
Like,
said no. You're like, no way, man.
hell no. Like, you're not cutting my leg off. I start arguing with him. He's like, look, it's life over limb. This is where you're at. The wife is yelling at me. He's yelling at me. Nurses are trying to, like, they need to get me in the operating room, like, immediately. And I'm not having it. And I don't know what happened. I think they just pumped a lot more drugs into my system. And I was like, he's like, look, I will do my best. I promise you to save your leg. But he's like, if we don't get you into the operating room, like, you could die, or you're going to lose your limb. Like, we got to get you in, essentially.
So at this point, Wes, did they have you on like IVs,
My
antibiotics,
God. I had
all this?
IVs in both arms. They were running all kinds of stuff in me. So anyways, I ended up saying, okay, fine. Please don't cut off my leg. I was like, please don't cut off my leg. Please don't cut off my leg. And he's like, he hands me a pen. And he's like, okay, you have to write yes on your leg. I have to give consent to lose my leg. And I was like, what? And so I'm holding this pen. And I like lean up and I write yes. And I'm like thinking like, I can't believe I'm writing this doctor like, yes, like, here, take my leg. Anyways, as soon as I was like on the S, that cart was moving. And it was literally like a movie scene. We're running down the hallway. You know, Becca's behind watching, me get run off. And they run me into, in for surgery. And they put me under and they start cutting into my leg. And I flatlined. So I died. They got me back pretty quick. They continued cutting. I died again. And they had a little bit harder time getting me back, but they have to cut out this infection. And they're seeing where it's at before they know where to kind of cut my leg off.
So it attacks the fascia, right?
Yeah.
It's like that thin layer on top of our muscle. It's like when you cut.
But it will go into the muscle, into the like it goes and it will attack everything, but it attacks the fascia first, right? But then it will go into the muscle, into the bone. It eats the whole thing. So I ended up flatlining the third time, but this time it took them like 2 or 3 minutes to get me to revive me. And they were kind of at a crossroads. If they continue, they might not get me back. And if they cut my leg off, there would be so much trauma that my body wouldn't be able to handle it and I would die. So they only left them with one option. And the one option was to bring me to ICU and feed me as much antibiotics, drugs, everything they could to try and contain the best they could without carving it all out. So they rushed me to the ICU, and I was in the ICU for 2 weeks, and I was in a coma for, I think, 3 days. And again, this is where it gets a little wonky, but talking with Becca, my wife, she was saying that when they first put me up there for almost 14 or 15 hours, she said it was just doctors and nurses just in and out of your room, in and out of your room. So what would happen is my blood pressure would spike and my pulse would drop. And then it would go like this. So then my pulse was 180 beats a minute and my blood pressure was tanking. And it just did that and did that and did.
And that's from the sepsis, because I was Ronnie Coleman. I'm a big fan of him. He went septic not long ago, and he was in the hospital for that. But that's what is happening to him.
Yeah. So they eventually, the doctor, after about 12 hours, came to Becca, and one of my best friends, Graham Park, was there. Mm-hmm. He was with her, but she had called him and said, "Hey, taking Weston to the hospital, he's pretty sick. Don't know what it is." And Graham was like, he'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. And then Becca called my coach, which is Mitch Clark, said, "Hey, Weston in the hospital, and I don't think he'll be able to fight." And Mitch was like, "Yeah, just keep me updated," kind of thing. But anyways, she said, yeah, he's got necrotizing fasciitis. Graham didn't know what that was, but our coach, our MMA coach, Jeff, he was a firefighter and a paramedic out in Sherwood Park. And he's like, yeah, he's got necrotizing fasciitis. And I guess Graham said that, like, Jeff's face drops. Like, you need to get to the hospital. Like, he's going to die. What? Anyway, so then Graham rushed to the hospital. So going back, but after 12 hours of them working on me, the doctor went to Becca and said, look, like, we're really sorry, but you need to call his family here, and they need to come here right away. We don't think he's gonna make it till the morning. So it was kind of like that, like, hey, get your family, prepare, like, we think he's gonna die, essentially. And so my poor wife, and this part's always a little hard to talk about, but there's this girl that I'm dating for just over 2 years, which is a decent amount of time, but not a lot. And she's having to call my dad and my stepmom. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning there. So again, like, it's just like a typical movie almost, right? Like, you see in these crazy movies where it's always like, the midnight phone call, hey, your son's dying, blah, blah, blah. It was just like that. And so she calls my dad and my stepmom, and he's like, hey, I need both of you on the phone. I need to tell you something. Please don't interrupt me. This is serious. I need to get it out. And they're like, yeah, what's going on? She said, Wes is really, really sick. They think they're going to cut his leg off, but he might die. He's flatlined a couple times, and blah, blah, blah. And my dad talking to him after your brain is funny because he didn't want to accept it. Like, he didn't really register the exact words, just knew something was wrong. And she said flatlined, and my dad was a firefighter, and he just didn't pick up on, like, exactly what that, like, what do you mean flatlined, So anyways, look, we don't think he's going to make it till morning, but, you should probably try and come out. Now, my parents are a bit older, and, they're not very good at the, booking flights on the computer and stuff like that. So at like 5 a.m, they ran over to their next door neighbors, and they're like, hey, we need a flight to Edmonton, like, the first one out. I don't care what it is. Like, we need to get out. And
they're flying in from Ottawa, right?
Yeah, they live in Ottawa.
They're coming from Ottawa.
They're coming from Ottawa. So their next door neighbor, awesome. She's like, give me your credit card. Go get packed. I'll do the best I can. And they were out within 24 hours, which is pretty awesome. Becca also called my mom, again, in the middle of the night, and said, hey, this is what's going on. This is, and Becca was really looking for my mom to step up and take over that role. And like, okay, yeah, I'll be right out, and kind of get to the hospital and take over, being the mom, right? And, people do funny things in crisis and make funny decisions in crisis. And whether or not they just don't want to believe it's happening, or, I can't answer for my mom, but my mom just, yeah, I'll be out, because she was planning to come out in July. This was in June. And Becca's like, hey, he might, like, sure, he might be dead. Like, he might die. Like, there's a very good chance. They're telling me he might not make it till morning. Like, you need to come out. And whether she just didn't want to believe it, I don't know. But my mom never came out. And
how'd that make you feel, Wes? Like, I'm sorry to ask that, but like, that kind of obviously disappointing. And
it was, there was so much to process that I didn't process that until much later. Obviously, I was like, sedated. I was in a coma, so like, I didn't know any of this was going on. But my mom ended up going to work the next day.
Did you speak to her about this?
Yeah, I did. I'll touch on that after. But
okay.
So my dad, who's like panicking, knows where my mom works, and drove over there, and he's like, when are you going out? Like, our flight leaves here. When are you going? And she was just like, no, I'm going out next month. And my dad was like, he might be dead. Like, no, Keith, I can't leave. Whatever her excuse was. So it is what it is. So my mom never actually came out, which was quite hard on Becca. And, but, you know, that woman, she's incredible. Like,
Sounds like an angel, man, to be honest. Like,
yeah, that woman, she's so driven. She works so hard. She's organized. She's smart. She's beautiful. Like, she really is incredible. And, you know, they went and picked up my dad from the airport. My sister came down. Because Becca called her and let her know too. But I guess my mom was like, you get down to Edmonton and find out what's going on. Again, people ask, the way they act in crisis, and in certain, you know, in these times, is really sad. My sister came in like a bull in a china shop. Like, I'm here now, you know, kind of thing. And it was still kind of at the end of COVID. So they only allowed 2 people into the room. And my sister gets that and she's like, yeah, I'm here. Basically like, Becca out, Graham out, like, I'm here and, you know, trying to take over. And she's like, I want to see my brother right now. And the nurses are like, no, like, relax. There's Graham and Becca's already in there, blah, blah. And she caused a pretty big scene. Yeah. Obviously, like, when I found out about it, I was pretty embarrassed, right? And, you know, like, just stupid stuff. And I won't say all this stuff, but the people that were around and knew what she said and the things she did, like, kind of know. And it is quite embarrassing, but, you know, she's my family, so I'm not going to sit here and trash her too much on camera, obviously. But you didn't act in the way you would want a family member to act. And Rebecca is doing so much. Like, she was messaging everybody updates all the time, her family, my family, friends. Like, she was messaging everybody, and if people messaged her, she was getting back to them.
Yeah, she actually, I have a little thing. I remember I was supposed to come see you at this point, because I don't know how long you'd been in the hospital for, or now around this time, but your folks, I was going to come see you, but your folks had come in. And I remember, I think it may have been you or Becca messaged me, say, hey, sorry.
It wasn't me. It was Becca.
So she's like, hey, like what, like his folks are coming. We can only have like 2 people in the room now. And I said, hey, no problem. Like,
yeah. That was pretty early on. Anyway, so now my dad's down. My stepmom, amazing woman. They're down, really good support for Becca. And, you know, that woman she never left. Like, she lived at the hospital, stayed almost every night with me. And I have to give, like, the best shout out to that hospital surgeon. That ICU team was, like, phenomenal.
You stayed there for your whole
No,
thing,
so I was in 3 hospitals in total.
Okay.
So right now I'm at the Sturgeon and I'm in the ICU.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I'm in sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. I apologize, but
it's okay.
You know, there's that yo-yo. They say, hey, he might not make it till the morning. Da, 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 da. Well, the morning came, and everyone ended up leaving after they told Becca, like, it's kind of up to him whether or not he's gonna live or die. And so the nurses kind of bailed out, doctors bailed out, and Becca is staring at an empty room just with me there. And, you know, I've got 3 IVs in my neck, and I've got IVs in each of my arm, and then, you know, the tube going down, and, you know, I'm basically like in a coma, dead, and it's just Becca walking into the room with me. And she had Graham there, and kind of like, you know, you're lifeless. And I couldn't imagine what that would have been like for her. But the morning came, and would you believe it, everything just evened out. My heart rate, my blood pressure, stable. And they're like, oh, how long has he been stable? So they started monitoring how long it had been stable. And it had been a couple hours, and they say, okay, like, we still need to get in and cut his leg. So the doctor comes back, they rush me in, and they start carving out my leg. Now I sent pictures, and you can see them if they'll put them up there. There's ones that have don't put the ones that have the flap on my shin, put the ones that are like completely exposed. But they ended up cutting out from my knee right to my ankle, and I would say almost 3/4 of the way around. So the only thing that had my skin on it was just the back of my calf. Everything else was all cut out. And this Dr. Fury, absolutely incredible, amazing surgeon. I did 5 different surgeries, I believe, to try and clean all the stuff out. And so I'm still under it this time as I'm going back and forth. And so they had taken everything out, and they're like, I think we got the infection, and I think we saved his leg, which is incredible. And they put on this vacuum, and it's just like, picture this like, I don't even know, like, it's like a material that goes around and then it sucks out all the crap. So there's a PSI underneath it, and you have nothing on there. So it's like
a giant syringe.
No, think of it like a big Band-Aid that goes around.
Okay.
And then attached to it is like this hose, and it's constantly sucking out all the crap, and it's under pressure, and it fucking hurt. So anyways, they put that on it. We're kind of all good. So now they're starting to wake me back up to see what's going on, blah, blah. And I remember it like it was yesterday. So I was like kind of talking and like, doctor this, doctor that. And all of a sudden it was like someone just like opened the blinds up. And I go, you're not a doctor, you're Graham. He's like, I'm Graham. And welcome back. And my eyes and everything just like went, because everything came rushing to me. Last thing I'd heard is they're going to cut my leg off. And I guess he saw my expression, and he's like, you have your leg. And I kind of like looked down, I looked at it, and I was like, oh, and I was like, where's Becca? And she was in the room, and he's like, right here. So now I'm awake, and I'm talking, and I'm in tons of pain, because they didn't know how to monitor my pain yet, because I wasn't awake. So they were doing all kinds of, welcome back to like, hey, this is what's happened to you. This is what we've done, all that stuff. It was like information overload. And then like my dad's there. I'm like, what are you, like, there was so much time that passed.
Yeah.
Like I didn't understand. Like I was having a real hard time kind of comprehending why my dad is here. And I was like, hey, my fight. And they're like, no, you can't. Like, you can't fight. And I was like, And I'm like, well, what about the fight? Oh, and then I ended up asking, there was a UFC on that weekend. And I was like, hey, like, who do you think's going to win? I can't remember who was fighting, and he's like, yeah, it's Wednesday, Wes. And I went in on a Friday. And I was like, oh, okay.
It's been almost a week.
Like, yeah, like it was a couple days, and I had no idea. So I was just trying to put everything together. And, Becca tells the story from her side, and there's obviously things that I did and missed, but I just don't remember them. Mm-hmm. So next thing you know, I'm laying there and looking at my leg and trying to process kind of exactly like what has just happened to me. Like, this isn't breaking an arm, like this is life changing. I couldn't move my leg. They had put a block in, they go in through your groin and they freeze the nerve, so your whole leg is like dead, and you can still feel it's not like the perfect painkiller, but like I can't move it because they didn't want me to move my leg. And they're asking me about my pain, and of course it hurts. And so they started me on this ketamine drip
Oh, wow.
And so I started to all of a sudden I'm looking, I'm like, oh my God, like, why is the ceiling bleeding? You know, there was drops of blood coming from the ceiling, like I was hallucinating. So Becca runs out and she's like, he sees like blood on the ceiling and there's like golf balls and all kinds of stuff. They're like, and they run over and they turn the drip down because they just had given me too much. I was on so many drugs, like copious amounts. I was getting 2 milligrams of hydromorph injectable every 2 hours, and which is insane.
Well,
but I have like
to your leg, man. I imagine you.
I also have a long history with opiates.
Okay.
So, you know, back in 2009, I broke my back. I went in for surgery, declared unsuccessful, and I had a really awful doctor, and he just put me on drugs. Like, here's oxys, take them.
This will make you better, yeah.
And, you know, I went to surgeons, and finally one surgeon was like, look, like, the meds are prescribed for a reason. You have 2 options. You can either be a drug addict and chase the dragon, or you take these meds and live a full life. Well, where I work, I seen the drug addicts. I didn't want to go down that road. So, like, I competed in bodybuilding. You know, I started into the fighting. Like, I was just living my life, but like taking all these drugs, right? And
so this affects like the amount that you can take comparable to other people.
Yeah, this is important because, you know, 2009 to 2022, when I went in, I was like taking opiates and like a lot. At one point, I was taking like 5 20s a day plus Percocet for pain. And then I had a doctor being like, whoa, like he had ended up leaving. I saw him, which ended up being my new doctor. He's like, you're on too much. This is crazy. Please come to me. He's opened up a new clinic. So I went to him and we worked our way all the way down to just 40 milligrams a day from like 150. And then, you know, like anything, I was competing at a high level with the MMA, training with all these guys that are in the UFC. That were local champions, like just a room full of amazing guys, but killers. And, you know, I'm competitive and I wanted to train hard. So the harder I trained, you know, you end up taking more of your pills, right? So I tell that story because when I got in, they could see the long history that I have. So yeah, like I'm not just a normal person going in, which 2 milligrams of hydromorph injectable, the liquid stuff, like for most people, you only have to give that like, you know, every 5 hours, and that's more than enough. But because my tolerance was so high, they didn't know how to. Judge actually brought in like a specialist, a doctor, pain doctor, like, for medication to kind of like control. I was taking so much. Like I was on ketamine plus that hydromorph, plus then I was getting pills on top of that. And so my legs still hurt. So anyways, they get all that going. I'm in the hospital. I'm up now for a couple of days. I have the most amazing nurses. One of the nurses actually worked at the jail.
Okay.
And she works RN, so she was like on max and healthcare. And I can't remember her name. I can't remember either one of their names. I wish I could. But anyways, her and another girl were like my primary nurses. And I had to go to the bathroom. It's like, you know, I can't move. And I've got like, they're giving me laxatives because I'm on so much drugs, so they start giving me laxatives. And my body reacts to laxatives.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was drinking. And they're like, yeah, well, I gave you a laxative. I'm like, oh my God, like, no, trust me. Like, you don't need to do that. But they did. So I'm like, well, I have to go to the washroom. And I have this nurse. And Joy, I'm telling you, this girl was gorgeous. Mm-hmm. She was so pretty, even Becca was like, oh my God, this woman is like really, really attractive.
And they just give you enough laxatives that you might be.
So I have to now take a number 2, and I'm in this hospital bed, and I tell her, I'm like, hey, can you like my brain is like, hey, can you get me up? I need to go and sit down on the toilet. And she's like, okay, yeah, no worries. I'm like, yeah, can you help me up? And she's like, no, honey, like you can't go anywhere. I'm like, well, what do I do? And she brings this bedpan. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck is it? Like, what's this? And she's like, well, we're going to roll you over and then we'll tip you back. And then you go to the bathroom in this pan and then they give you a jug to pee in. So you're kind of balancing on this bedpan. So they get a team of people in and they like roll me over, which hurt because of my leg. They put me on the bedpan and this woman's like, oh, it's okay. And she's right to my face. It's okay. Like, you'll be fine. And I'm just looking at her and I've got to take a shit bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And she won't leave. Go. So she holds my hand and I'm like, hey, you can go. She's like, it's okay. And all of a sudden I couldn't hold it any longer. Yeah. So I'm holding this like beautiful woman's hand. I'm taking a number 2. And I just remember being like crying, like, what's going on, you know? And then I have to pee into the jug. And then she comes back. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. Like, she ended up leaving. And she comes back and they roll me over. And then she's like, wiping your ass. And it was like that point where like all humility, like it's out the window. Like,
well, even
you
though
just have to like kind of surrender yourself.
Yeah, these people are professionals.
Like, you know, amazing.
Like they're treating you so nice. Like that, they're so nurturing. That's so wonderful. Like, you know, being in that position too.
Tell you how amazing Sturgeon Hospital and those particular nurses were. They would leave little notes for Becca because she slept on like this little chair every night. They'd bring her warm blankets and they were amazing. So anyways, just to kind of get the story going, hey, now they cut everything out. Now they need to fix me up. So they do a skin graft. So they take the skin from this leg and they put it over here, and then the skin grows and blah, blah, blah. So
how many did you have to do?
I just finished my 11th surgery last September.
So this is still ongoing for this long?
Yeah.
So let's see, 2022 to
2020, September of 2025. So that was my last surgery. So anyways, they tell me this is what's going to happen, and then they say, but we don't do that surgery here. You need to go to the U of A. You're going to get an amazing doctor there, and blah, blah, blah. So, okay, cool. So they transport me. They get you get an ambulance, and they transport me down to U of A. They gave me so many drugs for the ride. Oh, I could feel every bump. It was awful. So I get there, and it was like I was so well taken care of. And then I went to U of A, and then things changed. Not for the better. The level of care just was not the same. I wasn't in ICU anymore. But when I got there, they put me on the burn unit. And they put me there for just a day. I think I was there. But they took off the vacuum. So they had to take that off. So this thing that was like stuck and sucked on, they had to pull off.
Oh,
boys, I'm telling you right now, the amount of pain that I went through. You know when you see in movies, I know I reference movies lots, but you know when you see in movies where like something happens, they get their arm cut off or a really bad like broken arm, and they're like, and then they pass out due to the pain. That's a thing that happened, and I was screaming through this whole process. I was like, give me more drugs. And they give me a little dose of fentanyl to try and get it off. And I was like, more. She's like, well, you just passed out. I'm like, I didn't pass out because of the drugs. Like, passed out because it's so painful. Everything that happened, tearing that vacuum off, was the most pain I've ever felt in my life. But when it was off, it started feeling like better. Because that pressure, that PSI that it was under is gone, which so it felt better. So I had to stay for a month. I had to stay with all this open. And they would bandage it every morning. but take off the old and put on a new one every morning.
And that probably hurt getting that taken off. Just imagine.
I had a roommate for a couple days. And he eventually like pulled the curtain over and he's like, you need to sedate him to do that. This is cruelty. And they're like, sure, blah, blah, blah. But they would give me like my normal shot, like right before, but it wasn't enough. The pain was crazy. So anyways, I just stay like that for a month, and I have an amazing doctor, Dr. Powers, and she came in, she was a surgeon, and she explained exactly what they're going to do. We're going to take a big flap here, we're going to put it here, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, great, when's this going to happen? And it was like a month. So I was in the hospital almost 3 months, and it was not fun.
Where did you go after this, the burn unit here?
So yeah, so I went from the burn unit, and then once they pulled that off, then I just went to like a regular like unit, right? So I didn't have a single room or nothing. I had roommates or another person in there. Level of care drastically dropped. Like they were barely around, and I ended up having to go to the bathroom again. So they do the whole ordeal.
So you're not able to walk yet or anything?
No, I can't. I haven't stood up now or walked in probably 4 weeks at this point. And have to go to the bathroom, same ordeal. And the nurse came back, to clean me up. And it was like, and I said, hey, like, are you sure you got everything? And she's like, yep. She didn't. So the next day, I would get spun baths and stuff like that. And one lady's like rolls me over, and all I hear is, oh my God. So I knew, so then they get a big basin and they start cleaning me up. And
you think with what just happened to you?
I know, I ended up getting a rash, all over my boys.
Wouldn't you be scared about you getting an infection? Like you just had this serious...
Yeah, they don't. It's just a job, right? Some do their job really well and some don't. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I had to stay there for a while. And then Dr. Power says, hey, we're going to move you again. We're moving you to the hospital. So, is it Misericordia that's right by West Edmonton Mall?
Yeah, I think so.
Misericordia. We're going to move you to Misericordia, which was kind of good. So they moved me to Misericordia, and I have my own room, which is awesome. And basically, I just have to wait for my surgery date. And during that time, man, the support that I felt and that I got from where I work at ERC was it was amazing. And I don't know if people know just how much it helped me, just how incredible people's messages were. They made a little board, and then people signed it, and it really meant a lot to me. It helped, and the amount of people that came in and visited was incredible. And the nurses eventually was like, who are you? I've never seen anyone have so many visitors. I'm like, well, I work in a big place, and people were just so kind, and they were bringing food for my family, for Becca. It's pretty amazing. I know we're hard sometimes at the place that we work, and it gets negative and stuff, but in big crisis, it's amazing how we come together. And I was really blown away just on how much support that I felt coming from there. So that was really special. So then basically I waited for the surgery day.
What surgery is this for?
So this surgery coming up now, this is the big surgery. So this is where they do the skin graft.
Okay.
So I was in surgery, and I'm sure my wife would know the exact time, but I believe it was 14 or 15 hours.
Holy.
So I was under for that long. And what they did was they take this machine, which is just think about shaving cheese, mm-hmm. but it's a really hot blade, and they just cut your epidermis, and then they put it here, okay, actual skin, and then they cut a much thinner piece of skin, and they put it on either side, and they stretch it, and they they staple everything together, and then the stuff that isn't actually skin, it looks like X's and O's kind of thing, like a grate, think of like a plastic grate or something, and it was really thin. And she's like, "Oh, the skin will grow over that and it will come back." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But here's the worst part: getting skin grafts really painful. So what they did is they went in, they froze this nerve and this nerve. So I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. I couldn't wiggle my toes. Couldn't move a leg. Couldn't twitch a muscle. Nothing from my waist down. And I was like that for about almost 3 weeks.
Oh man.
And yeah, it was just one of those things, man. Changed my life. I ended up going in for that surgery. It was successful. The doctor did an incredible job. Stapled me all up, and basically then I was laying there kind of contemplating like what's next, what's going on in my life, and what am I supposed to do now. Right now everything's kind of over, right? So the chaos, all the craziness is over now. I'm alive. They didn't cut my leg off. Went from Sturgeon to U of A to Misericordia. They did the big surgery. And now it's like, okay, congrats. Like, you're going to keep your leg. Life's going to be a bit different. Now you're on the road to recovery. Oh.
So it starts with like physiotherapy, and like, did they help you through all this, or did you get released from the hospital and go home?
So they wouldn't release me until I could kind of walk with crutches. Like, kind of get around. And I tell you, like, I get it. The hospitals are overworked. I understand. There's not enough physiotherapists. There's not enough PTs. Like, I get it. So the level of care I got at Misericordia was awful. I actually told the manager, because I asked for the manager, and I said, we treat inmates better than I get treated here. I was getting like cheese sandwiches. So when I left the hospital finally, I left at 178 pounds.
And you went in at 210, you said?
210 to 215. And I left at 178. They didn't feed me.
Like
It was
breakfast,
crazy.
lunch, and
They were
dinner?
feeding me, but they had me on a vegetarian diet. They had me on, all this weird food. And I'm like, I'm losing weight. Like, I need help. Can you? Yeah, we're going to get you double. We'll get you double. It never came. And the level of care I got from a couple nurses were amazing. But the majority of the nurses were terrible. Like, terrible. It was awful. And I had to do this dangling program, they call it. So after a couple weeks of just being still, they remove everything. So you start getting feeling back. So slowly I can start moving my feet. And my leg's been like laying on a bed for 2 months now at this point. So now I have to like get it and dangle it down and allow the blood to go to it, like rush down. And so I had to do it, and there was a very strict how many minutes. First one was 15 minutes if you can. The next one you try and do 20, 25, 35, 45, etc. until you're kind of used to it. So I get to the point where I'm doing 30 minutes and I'm feeling better, and I had to get the fuck out of the hospital bed. So they helped me and put me into a chair, which was amazing. So I sit there and I say, okay, I got my phone, I got everything. I'm like, half hour, I'll push the button, you need to come out. Yeah, da. Half hour goes by, and I say, hey, I call 5 minutes before, and I say, hey, in 5 minutes I need help. And the girl's like, yeah, your nurse went on lunch. Okay, 5 minutes, can someone come and help me and put me back into the bed? Yeah, I said your nurse went, when she comes back, you'll go. I said, well, no, like, that can't happen. So she's like, just clicked me off, right? Like, I said, okay. So I waited 30, I called back and said, hey, can someone help me get back into the bed, please? I told you your nurse was gone on lunch. It's like, okay, but I need to get back in the bed. Someone come and help me. No one came. 35 minutes. 40 minutes. We're at 45 minutes now, and I look down, my leg is killing me, and it's starting to balloon.
Oh,
swell. and I say, hey, you need to get here now. Like, I'm in pain. Something's wrong with my leg. I need to get back in the bed. And she's like, yo, nurse will be back in 10 minutes. I said, I need help now. Like, come and get me. And she's like, I told you already, enough. Like, your nurse will be is on lunch and she's back in 10 minutes. And she clicks off. So, you know me. I'm not, can be pretty fiery at times. I just yell, fuck this, then I'll do it myself. Well, really stupid idea. I got myself up and I went to go, like, your brain says just go to the bed. But your body goes, I don't fucking think so. Like, you've got no legs and you haven't stood up at all. And I went to go kind of like hop on my good leg. And you know those the trays that kind of go over so you can eat and stuff. So that was there and it was full of stuff. And I hopped and I bailed, hit my arm on the tray, drinks, food go flying, I go collapsing to the ground. I have 2 IVs, rip them out, and I'm laying there. And what do you think happens? Wow, 4 or 5 nurses just come rushing right in. What'd you do? Why'd you do that? And I'm like, my leg is killing me. They help me back into bed. And so I explained, like, what in the hell is going on? And the charge nurse was not happy, not impressed. They got me back in. They got IVs back in. We have to get, poked again. And, but my leg is swelling and it's in lots of pain. And they noticed how much it was swelling. So they had to call the doctor in at like 10 at night. Oh, that doctor was so mad. She's like, how did this happen? So I tell her how it happens. And anyways, that was after that, they were always there to kind of help me. So yeah, that's basically kind of the story of what happened.
When did you finally leave the hospital and able to walk again and stuff?
Walk again was still quite a ways away. I left the hospital and I could get around on crutches and a wheelchair. But I was in a wheelchair for about a month. That was my mode of transportation. Now, the funny thing is, I was in Edmonton at this point for about 17 years, roughly 16, 17 years. When I left the hospital, Becca had already moved to Calgary.
Oh.
I have the most incredible friends. We got a U-Haul while I was in the hospital, and they packed up all of my stuff in this U-Haul. I had one friend drive my motorcycle to Calgary, and we got a little storage unit, and the boys drove all my stuff up there and put it all in the storage unit for me. Like, friends, like just the best friends. And when I got out of the hospital, Becca was just, when you move out the last little bit, couple odds and ends and kind of clean, like went there, and I was in the front seat, and she went into the house and loaded up a few cleaning supplies, etc., etc. And that's how I left Edmonton, like from the hospital, and then I was gone. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to, you have your good group of friends, right? But then you also have like kind of another ring of friends that you see at work, that you talk to, that you really enjoy, that you consider friends. I never got to say anything to them. I'm just gone. It was really strange. All those years in Edmonton, working hard at a job, trying to move up through the ranks, and then next thing you know, like, I'm in a wheelchair. I'm in Calgary now, and no transfer yet. I had no transfer.
So you still don't even know if you have a job going.
So I don't even know like what's going to happen in a couple months when I'm kind of getting better. And my thinking is like, well, I can probably stay off for as long as I can until the transfer eventually comes through. Now, I tried to go to Calgary as a CO3 because for overtime, right? Like, I'm now in a more expensive city. I wanted the opportunity to make a little extra money. And I mean, we all know going to a new place as a manager is like not easy. Anyways, we ended up going, and Becca was going in for something for the police. She was getting her like ID badge or whatever made up, and I got a call from Lance Vader, because he was the director of CRC, and he said, "Hey, how are you doing? Blah blah blah. I heard you went through a lot." Yeah. And he's like, "We'd like to offer you the ADD position."
And the CRC is a Calgary Remand Center, just for people who don't know.
Yeah, Calgary Remand Center. So, I got that call, and I like just broke down. Like, I'm in a wheelchair now in the police station, and I'm crying. And Becca comes, and she's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I tell her, I'm like, you know, I'm here. I got the job, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't just about that. It was like a lot of emotions, right?
I say the emotional toll you went through, man. I can't imagine what you're going through. Because you, like, knowing you're an active guy. You're a muscular guy. You used to work out a lot. You're a muscular dude. And then now this hits you, and like, did you feel like everything was kind of taken away from you? It's like, well, like, everything I enjoy, like.
Yeah, that's, so, you know, that's, and I know I apologize for talking so long, but that's the story of what happened. But the emotional side of things and what you have to deal with during and after, like, I never did anything like that. I'm active. I do things all the time. You know, I like try and do them. I'm kind of all in or not in, right? I was bodybuilding. I was lifting weights. I was all in. I wanted to compete, blah, blah, blah. And I did, and I did fairly okay, you know. And when I got into mixed martial arts, like, I wasn't there just to, you know, get in shape. I was there to fight and learn and try. And I always told my buddy Graham, I said, you know, I want to be that old guy that's like, not like kind of feared, you know, like, oh, I don't want to fight him, he's old, and be like, be careful, like, you know, he's good. That was my goal. I wanted to get a couple fights in and, you know, test myself. So I was always driven to do stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, you have this leg that barely works. Can't walk, you're in a wheelchair. Your life is completely changed. I'll tell you, laying in a hospital room for almost 3 months gives you a lot of time to think and talk. And I did a lot of reflecting of kind of the person I was. How I treated people. You do a lot of reflecting, and you know, I wasn't like super proud of the person I was. I kind of was mean to people. I think when you face something like having your life get taken away from you, for me anyways, it just made me think of those things, the people that I didn't treat all the best. And I wanted to be different. I wanted to change that. And I actually had called people and apologized for the way I treated them. I just felt it was the right thing to do. You know, and there's probably hundreds more that I could apologize to.
You didn't only physically heal, but you mentally healed. I've noticed a big change in you, actually, man.
Yeah, I'm still like hyper, you know, like I'm still me, but I'm kind of soft now, which is hard. And you know, when I came out of the hospital and I was in a wheelchair and I was going to physio, and this is gonna shock everybody, but it ended up being a WCB claim because the doctors found. They came to me before they rushed me in for my first like surgery, like while I was just got into the hospital. They're like, "Did you bang your leg on anything?" And like, I'm in sepsis, I'm fucked. And all I could remember was like banging my shin on that filing cabinet.
And for people who don't know, where we work, there's a lot of infections rolling around there. It's a very dirty place.
It's a dirty place. So that's what I said. I'm like, yeah, I banged my shin on a filing cabinet at work, and they're like, we got the source, and it was like a little nick right down in my shin. So I got WCB, and I had the most incredible WCB worker, like such a good WCB worker, and she just gave me like everything, you know, like normally they only send physio for you only do physio 3 times a week. I was going 5 times a week.
Well, fantastic, man.
And, you know, trying to get me up and walking. I have a video of the first time that I actually stood up and walked, which was like amazing. But there was a lot of pain and a lot of frustration, and I wasn't happy. I just wasn't happy. I was really sad. I left Edmonton, all my friends. I couldn't walk. I couldn't train, do the stuff I loved. I got really depressed. And, like thinking like if I just wasn't here, it would just be better. Having Becca trying to take care of me on top of her trying to learn a new job and going to training. I just felt like I was a burden on everybody, and I just kept thinking if I wasn't here, it would be easier for everybody. And it was kind of like when I started having those thoughts all the time, I reached out to my WCB worker and I said, I think I need to talk to somebody. And she's like, I was kind of waiting for that. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore, And she's like, okay. I got a therapist the next day. I had a meeting with her like a couple days later. Best thing I've ever done. I have the most amazing therapist, and she is incredible. Really kind of saved my life, helped me turn into the person that I'm still working on being now, but just a better version, being okay with what I'm able to do and what I'm not able to do. And therapy really, really helped me. I always encourage anyone that's going through a tough time to reach out and go to a therapist. And you don't have to go with the first therapist they give you. Go until you kind of click with somebody, and then go and be open and honest. Therapy only works unless you're 100% honest. Mm-hmm. And when you go talk to somebody that doesn't really know you, you can just bear all and just, and that's what I did. And stuff I told that poor woman. And she was amazing and helped me guide through all that. And, I ended up, I ended up getting promoted pretty quickly when I was in Calgary to a DDO. And, it was great. I mean, going in, like I said, going in as a manager to a new place isn't easy. I wasn't very well received. People thought that I was like, you, Lance Vader and Kemp are best friends. And I'm like, I don't know him. Yeah. He did my interview for an ADD job in Edmonton. That's the first time I've ever met him. But how people talk, like, this was born to be, like, this, that, the next thing. And I had a woman that comes in and goes, can I talk to you? I was like, yeah, okay. And we're in the DDO's office, and in the back there's a little kind of changing room, and she goes back there, shuts the door, and goes, who are you? Why are you here? And I was like, whoa. So I just, honest, open, told her. That woman is she's amazing. She was the strongest 3, the most amazing CO3. Been acting in the office for 12 years, but never got given the job, and we ended up becoming friends, after that. And she's left now and went to another place, which killed, because I was trying to pump her up. I wanted her to come in and, get a job in the office. And I was like, we'll work together and try and make this happen. You need to be in the office kind of thing. And, I met some really good people in Calgary. My life now is different. Mm-hmm. I ended up walking. I walk with a bit of a limp now. My last surgery, they went and cut my Achilles tendon in 3 spots. So it's called lengthening your Achilles. So what was happening is my ankle was locked out. Mm. And so I couldn't walk properly. So I'd walk really awkwardly, couldn't really run. So they thought by slicing my Achilles in 3 spots, it would lengthen. And then I was put in a cast so it would heal while it was lengthened. And then I would have more flexibility. Well, I did. I got a little bit more, which is great. So I don't really walk with that much of a limp anymore.
But it is another surgery, man. It's oh my God, how many surgeries you had and gone through.
Yeah, 11 in total. And my memory is shot. I just can't. I have to write down everything now. And I did a little bit of research, and they said the more times you're under anesthetic, mm-hmm. part of that could be like memory loss.
Oh,
I had a stutter too for a while. I ended up working through that. So I would my brain was going too fast. I would end up stuttering on words. And when I would get anxious, I would stutter. I have anxiety now. I never had that before.
well, I can't imagine how scared you are, like just with cleanliness at work, and you're like, whoa, like gotta keep this stuff clean and like everything.
That's funny because a lot of people think you'd like be overly obsessed with that. And I never was. I never was like, oh my God, like, hygiene's really important. And you should always clean yourself and shower. And when you're doing mixed martial arts, you're doing jiu-jitsu where there's a lot of body contact, people need to take the hygiene portion really seriously.
Yeah, it'd be like cutting your fingernails, washing your clothing, like everything.
And it's not a joke. And if you don't do that, like, that's not fair to other people. You can give ringworm staff. People don't really, until you go through it and get it, it's not fun. But I'm not a crazy nut. If I get a cut on my hand or on my leg or whatever, like, I don't go crazy and be like, oh my God, I'm gonna get this again.
So are you more susceptible to these infections now and stuff, or is it
no, that's not a thing.
Okay.
This is like kind of like winning the lottery. Like, those are the chances of getting it. Very, very rare to get necrotizing fasciitis. It is what it is.
I just want to add, Wes, I've known you for a long time, and I think you're more than you deserve that position you got. I'm really happy to hear about that for you. Man, and you work so hard. People don't know, like, you were in corrections for when I met you at that point, like 18 years, I think you said.
I've been in, it'll be 20 years this December.
Yeah, so when I met you, you'd already had a lengthy career.
Yeah.
And you earned that, and no one can take that from you. And, like, what are you doing today? So you and I were talking last night at steak night.
Yeah. And
you said you're going to start doing Muay Thai again, which is really cool.
Yeah. Now that I've healed up, I'm going stir crazy, and I love mixed martial. I love fighting, and I was doing some jiu-jitsu before, but I don't have any feeling, right? So from my knee to my ankle, there's no feeling here. It's all dead. The nerves haven't grown back, and then from my knee up to my hip on this side, where they took all the skin, there's no feeling. But yeah, I'm getting back active, trying to be. I've gained quite a bit of weight. Normally, I'm like 215. 210, kind of like, in fight shape and always ready. And, even before that, bodybuilding. So I've always been in shape. So this is the first time I've been, have a big belly, and, it's not easy to deal with, but
I think you look great, man.
I appreciate
it. And I can't imagine like how much, like, I had knee surgery and my arm was like as skinny, or my leg was as skinny as my arm, man, when I took that brace off. So I can't imagine like what you come through, but you look fantastic, I think.
And I don't know if you guys have seen my leg or not, but like, this is the end result now, right? So that's what it looks like now. And that looks pretty darn good.
Looks good
compared to like, it really healed quite well.
They actually did a very good job, man.
She's incredible, that surgeon. And it healed well. I can't kick. I don't kick with this leg. Obviously, I can't kick with it anymore.
Do you think you won't be able to ever again, you think? Or maybe
well,
you could
so I sparred a little bit last year.
Yeah.
And
how'd that go?
Sparring gets heated, right? You know how it sometimes get heated.
Yeah.
And you naturally go back and sitting there, and I threw a right kick. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, my whole bone and my whole leg rattled, and I was like, oh. And they're like, oh, you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, oh, what did I do that for? So I can kick, but it doesn't feel good. So I just switched stance. Go southpaw and kick with my left leg. And, now, at 47 years old, I'm going in. I just want to get back in shape and do the stuff I love. And, we're pretty amazing as humans when you face big adversity and, you get met with that, like, what am I going to do now kind of thing. And, you just put one foot in front of the other and kind of keep grinding. And, You know, the last 3 years in Calgary have been the most challenging years of my life. Struggling with, you know, kind of my leg hurting constantly and not walking well, and, you know, being a little bit like, you know, aware of your limp and stuff, and then going to a new place where like I wasn't well received. Like I had a staff member come up. This is literally what he said. He goes, "I fucking hate you." And he goes, "And I don't even know why I hate you."
Oh.
So I was like kind of teaching something to everybody. Like, this is kind of what I wanted. They escort everyone backwards, which is crazy. But I was trying to say, no, we can go forward if they're like compliant, right?
Yeah.
And that was just a really big difference. So a lot of people they hated my guts. And so I'm like kind of explaining this is why we should do it and blah, blah, blah. And this, after he comes over, goes, "I fucking hate you." I was like, "Whoa." And he's like, "I don't know why." And then, but it was actually a good thing, because he's like, "I'm just listening to all the negativity about you." And he's like, "I don't even know you. And like, you seem like a good person, and like that you're generally, you know, looking out for our best interest." And he's like, and then he just apologized. Like, "I'm really sorry." And you know what? I really like him for that, and I admire him for coming up and kind of telling me that. And but yeah, that's pretty funny. But it's not easy to work in a place that all doesn't like you.
Well, you're new, right?
And I had other managers that don't like me now, because I had basically on my 5th day back full time to work, they promoted me to like, "Hey, we want you to act and take over B shift." And I was like, oh, so I had like crap coming from my peers who were very upset at me, and then all the staff didn't like me. They didn't know who I was, and you know what it's like. And then on top of that, just dealing with like my new life. I have no friends around. I've got my wife who's amazing, but like no outlet. I can't train. I can't do any things. And it was such a hard period in my life. And thank God for therapy, because, you know, if she ever watches, like, there were so many times I wanted to give up.
Well, with that therapist, how was WCB? Like, when they covered you, were they good about this? Like, they gave you lots of sessions?
Yeah, WCB, I had the most amazing caseworker for the first, I think, year. And then she ended up leaving. And she was going back to get her master's or whatever. And she ended up leaving. And then once she left, I got the typical WCB treatment, right? Like, not really talking to me, like, yeah, approve this, not getting things approved. But, you know, they have stopped my counseling sessions now.
Oh, okay.
That's
probably one of the most important
more.
things.
But I was fortunate, because I ended up getting, I got 54 sessions out of them.
Wow.
Which is kind of unheard of. So I'm thankful for that. But the way I look at it is like, if I feel like I need it, why would you deny me? Like, I never understood that. So I've only been a couple months now without it, and, you know, I'm doing pretty good, trying to keep it, you know, on the level. But it's like, they're gonna wait for me to crash, and then say, okay, you can go see her again. Like, I don't understand that model at all. Like, I don't know why they would do that. But it just is what it is. You know, it's WCB, and they're tight, and, you know, but, you know, when you face something like that, you know, you try and get good people around you, and listen to yourself. And if you need help, go get help, and, you know, and just keep kind of marching through, and things will get better. And, you know, they have gotten better. You know, I really enjoy work. I've got an incredible management team, like, that's with me on my shift. Ryan, Leslie, Karimi, and Nick Bednarik. Like, these guys are beauties. Nick is an acting manager, but really he's just a manager. Like, he's been doing it forever too. I'm really fortunate, and I have the best staff. Like, they're really, really great people. I'm really fortunate now that things have turned around, and you know, I believe that, you know, they like having me as their manager. And, I always remember that it's important, right? When you have bad management, it's tough. It makes it negative. It's toxic, and I always wanted to be a good one. I always wanted to be one that people could come and talk to, and I never forgot where I came from, and that was really important to me, and I never did. And things have gotten better now, but still not the same. I'm not the same person I was. I'll tell you a funny story, actually. So I played hockey my whole life, and I was pretty good, and I'm not any good anymore. I can't skate that well, but I go to the hockey tournament that we put on every year, and
that's amazing, man.
It's really tough because I was a good hockey player, and I'm not now. But my brain still is like, why can't you do this? Gets frustrated. And, I think I'm a pretty friendly guy, but most people will say, like, when I'm on the ice, I'm a dick. It's just always how I played hockey. I tell a story. I was playing in the ARC team, and I'm not going to give this guy any credit. I never really liked the guy that much, but when I was playing, I wasn't playing very good, so I was like, just try and go back to your old ways and see if you can pump yourself up. So I started kind of being a dick, and this guy yells out, I worked with, fuck you, Kemp, you fucking haven't changed, you're a fucking loser, and I was like, I have changed, though. Just, you don't know what I'm kind of going through right now, and I'm like, it's really frustrating when you can't play a sport that you can play. But I remember him yelling that out, and I was like, well, actually, I have changed, but it's tough. It is what it is. It was this guy here. Remember this guy? Remember this guy?
I say there's no friends on the ice, bro.
Yeah. Well,
like when we're on different teams, we're not friends.
When you can't play a sport that you were really good at, I feel like I'm pretty friendly now on the ice. Much different, laugh and joke a lot more. But when it gets competitive, you still want to try and bring it out, and it's like the only way I can do it is kind of go back and be a dick again. And I didn't like it, so that like part of me is really gone because I didn't really like doing it. And when he yelled that out, it like, it actually hurt because I was like, well, fuck, I actually am different, but I'm like just trying to, do this thing. And anyways, I remember it stuck with me, and I am a different person than I was, and I know I wasn't always the best guy, and it is what it is. That's life. You're constantly changing, constantly evolving, and now I'm just trying to go through and be the best person that I can be. And a lot of things have happened since then. Becca and I moved to Calgary. We bought a house. We got engaged. Then we got married, and it's just been like a whirlwind 3 years. And she's the best thing in my life, really. She's so amazing. Such an incredible woman, and just always by my side. Always.
Oh man, I'm so happy to hear that. I think that's actually kind of a good way to close out, actually. Like, everything's going so well for you. I'm very happy to hear that, and I'm so happy to hear you getting back to training. It's like coming up shortly. And you're playing hockey, man. Like, in that one point they told you, hey, you're not going to have a leg, and then here you are, like, even though you're not playing, like you said, at the ability you wanted to, but man, I think you come so far. I'm very proud of you, bro. And like, I'm so happy you came here to talk today. This must be hard to talk about. I understand that.
Yeah,
thanks for coming.
It's not easy, and I wasn't sure I'm nervous to do it. Talking about something like this, and if I open up too much, he gets pretty emotional. But the message is, bad things happen in your life. You just always keep trying to stay positive. Look for resources. Look to your friends. Look to your family, and look out what's best for you, and keep your kind of, the eye on the prize. Don't give up. And I was never someone that gave up, but I was pretty darn close, and it scared me. And I just not everything's perfect, right? But you just keep plugging away and keep marching forward and keep trying to be the best person you can be. And that's what I'm trying to do. And you know, you have good days and you have bad days. And you know, going through something like this, a major crisis. It's hard on not just me. You know, it was equally as hard on Becca. It was equally as hard on my parents and friends and stuff watching. But you know, you just keep moving forward and keep trying to never lose focus of what's important.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Well, thank God Becca was there with you, man.
Oh, yeah, she was incredible.
If anybody wants to reach out to her, you cool with that? Or like giving out your social media, or if someone?
Yeah, anyone can reach out if they're going through anything similar or ever want to talk, or you know, struggling with anything, you know, wanting to talk about, you know, just mental health or giving up. And you know, that's one of the great things about, you know, the podcast and, you know, the Spare Bedroom is talking about men's mental health. I don't think it's talked about enough. And, you know, we try to be manly man all the time, and, you know, that's great. But, you know, reaching out to friends and actually talking about how you're feeling, it's really important.
Well, where could I reach you if I wanted to, if you're okay sharing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think my Instagram is Kemper17 at Instagram, or you can reach me at Wes Matthew Facebook. Yeah, there's always ways to reach out if anyone wants to talk or, you know, go over anything. Try and help as many people as I can. You know, especially at my new place of work, you know, people are struggling. I always try and be there for them and try and point them in the best and the right direction best way I can.
That's awesome, Wes. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
this. This was fun. First time ever doing it. A little bit nerve-wracking, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
yeah, it is.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Please like and subscribe and tune in to Spare Bedroom Studios and Prime Joe Time. Thanks for listening. Take care.